who hurt you. I wonder who made you so mad. Tell me, where did you learn to be so negative? You're such a drag. 'Cause every time you talk it sound like blah 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 blah.
So the frustration finally boiled over in Florida, man. That I would argue that possibly that's your best win of the week. We've been notching them up, but man, Judge Cannon with the full cannon against Jack Smith. So you're saying effectively, like, you planted evidence at Mar-a-Lago. You can't tell us.
Yeah, they staged
Right.
it.
You staged it. You brought in the cover sheets. Okay. And you've been saying this for a while, but now you actually have all the evidence at your back, or at the very least, the evidence is public, and now we can all see it. So this must be extremely vindicating for you.
Yeah, because I was asked, like, does it look like this? Does it look? No, it doesn't look like that. I've been in his office. I don't see that. What are you talking about? That is a staged picture. And everyone's like, sure it is, Alina.
Wait a second. So Trump has documents, classified documents, just all over his floor. That's
Yeah,
what we're
all of
led
us-
to believe?
I mean, come on. Like, what was that? And then we find out, and this was the most important part, that the documents were mishandled. He admits in a footnote, that the documents were mishandled, that some of the cover sheets were not on the correlating documents. So how do we know what anything is? How do we know that it wasn't just some random cover sheet that just, how do we know anything at this point? If you mishandled that, that's like saying somebody shot someone. Sorry, there's a bunch of fingerprints on this gun, but we're going to go ahead and use it anyway. Okay, no problem. What?
It is. Again, we're not accomplished lawyers like yourself. We're just community college graduates over here. But even we can watch old Dave Chappelle show sketches and find them funny because of the planting of evidence. Like it's an ongoing joke, right? The cops plant evidence, sprinkle some crack on them, and it's like that's a joke because it's so immoral. Yet Jack Smith, in multiple instances, admitting we lied to the court, we planted evidence. We staged photographs, and this is the one I can't get. This is the one I can't get out of. The GSA had pallets of boxes they forced Trump to take, and there's no way to tell if that's where the classified documents were. So presumably, the government was planting evidence. Potentially, Jack Smith admitted it.
He admitted. Imagine this is what he's willing to admit. What's he not willing to admit that we haven't found out yet? And that was only after Judge Cannon forced certain documents to be off seal because they were under seal. She forced documents to be unredacted. She released those. If we didn't have that transparency, first of all, the defense would never know, let alone the American people. And by the way, it's one and the same because the defendant happens to be the leading candidate. So when you're trying to hurt him, what you're doing is actually hurting all the people that would vote for him, all the people that don't want President Biden in office for another 4 years. You're actually not hurting Trump. You're hurting us too. And it's not fair because we get a right in November to pick who we want. And taking away that right and taking away his rights to campaign and have fair campaign is really, really wrong. Really wrong.
So here's my final question on Jack Smith, because we've covered this extensively on the program. We brought in a bunch of experts. Obviously, Julie Kelly doing incredible work on this. We've had her on for an hour to talk through this. I think the audience is well aware of how that case is really imploding, how it's been delayed indefinitely. Probably no chance it'll ever get to trial. I mean, do you think it'll ever get to trial?
I don't think it should continue at all. I think that once evidence, the key evidence, which is the basis of their complaint, once that has been completely jostled, manipulated, and by the, I think all credibility is gone. I think number one, I think that there wasn't really much credibility, to be honest. The fact of the mistreatment between Biden and Trump, and President Trump was at the time that he took the documents. I think all of that speaks volumes. But now we have a serious evidence here that President Trump is not treated like everybody else. But now we have a problem that I don't know how we get around. And I think Judge Cannon did the right thing, did the only thing you could possibly do, frankly. No matter what judge it is, how can you possibly continue when the key evidence of what you're saying he did has been manipulated by the prosecution? Can't. Needs to be dismissed.
So really quickly here, one of the hearings that she scheduled was, is Jack Smith a legitimate special prosecutor? Does he have the right to be a special prosecutor? Ed Meese from the Heritage Foundation has filed with the Supreme Court that he's not a legitimate prosecutor. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, he's a henchman, and you can't do that. Can't do that. But we're seeing that. By the way, pay attention. I can't speak to some of it, but we're seeing that in some of the trials that are ongoing.
So speaking of henchmen, I just want to close with this. You had a henchman come for you this week,
So good.
talking about your celery
Dry.
cutting skills,
Oh my god!
and I wanted to give you a chance to respond. I'm not even going to mention the accounts, okay? But there are people who are very upset at your ability to make brisket here, which is what you were making.
Yeah, I really make a good brisket. Sorry, I do. It's good. My husband's Jewish. I'm a great brisket maker. So here's the deal. I have a law degree. I am not a cook. I don't pretend to be a cook. This was not even put on my account. Somebody literally had to fish it out from somebody else's account. And I don't know why it was posted by that person, but it's fine. I don't mind. She was excited because I was making her and her family brisket for Passover and being a kind and good friend. I think it's desperate. I think it's pathetic. And I think it's ironic that the left, who pretends to be inclusive, are destroying females who are working hard, being kind to their friends on a religious holiday, and just constantly berating and demeaning women. It's just ironic to me, especially after watching Hillary Clinton last night talk about all the things she likes to talk about, acting like a feminist. This is your team here. They're nasty, and they're hurtful, and it's just silliness. Why don't you stick to the facts?
You didn't seem too bothered by it. This went thermonuclear. This response. Let me recommend that you do more of these. This went crazy. You did millions of views off of like your response to this, and you were cutting
I couldn't
avocado.
take it anymore, Benny. I had enough. I had enough. And you know what? Some of my friends in Trump world were like, who cares? I was like, you know what though? Every once in a while, I was like, this is so absurd. I'm cutting celery and you're going to profit off of me doing that? No, you will not do that. No, we will not do that.
Wait, more of this energy. You can tell why you work so well with the president. More of this energy. Hitting back, but then also like the self-deprecating like laughter. This is one thing. Trump said this yesterday. The one thing, I'd love to close on this. The one thing we have on them is that we actually lead happy lives. We're like happy people.
We're happy people.
Miserable. Yeah.
Yeah. They tried. What they think? Did he think he was going to make me cry with the celery? He didn't make me cry. I was like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to do. I'm going to post something of me folding laundry. I'm really terrible at folding laundry too. By the way, I'm going to show the world how I cannot do laundry. I am awful at that. I don't pretend to be Susie Homemaker, but I do make a good brisket. And I might use the wrong knife. Who knows? Who cares? But you know what? At the end of the day, it's like sometimes you just have to say, like, this is it. This is what you got. Like, she can't cut celery. First of all, how are you supposed to cut celery? What am I saying? Like, I'm not a chef. I don't know. I'm cutting celery. Leave me alone. Get a life.
They always say, a little piece of wisdom, don't ever bring a knife to a gunfight.
Well,
and you actually brought a gun also
now that
this
I'm
week.
good at, by the way.
So there you go.
Did you see that? Those were good shots. I scored pretty well that day. I love shooting. And don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Nope.
Yeah, that's right. So you brought the gun. They can complain about the knives all day. Bam.
I didn't see
them?
any trolling about my shooting skills. So
You got both of them? All right. Hey, this is why Donald Trump obviously has chosen you as his spokesperson and as his attorney. You are a straight shooter. A little bit of encouragement for the audience going into the weekend. How's the state of the campaign? How's the state of the president? What's the esprit de corps?
He is winning in the polls while being trapped in a courtroom in New York. Okay? Imagine if he was actually campaigning. Imagine if people could actually hear what we have to say and all the plans he has, the real plans. I want to stop with the lawfare and let him get to what the American people want to hear about. How are their 401ks going to get better? How is gas going to get cheaper? How are eggs going to be cheaper? How are our children not going to be indoctrinated by this crazy demonic stuff? That's what we want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to do this. I want to be hearing about who the future president is going to be and what he's going to do. I know who the future president should be, but let's get to the real stuff. President Trump, I always like to tell people how he's doing because I know that is something that the American people don't get to see. And I am fortunate enough that I do get to see it. He is honestly has the same attitude, I think, like you said, Benny, as me, laughing, cutting up the avocado and be like, guess what? Guess I'm not good at everything. He is he's just such a good cheerleader for the people around him that are cheering for him, which is funny because you would think it would be all that way, but he instead he's encouraging his team and lifting them up and always keeping us moving, and that's why we smile and we're happy, unlike the left, and we are pushing and pushing hard and we have energy because we see this for what it is. And I think this week, the American people are starting to see that what we've been saying, that these are witch hunts, these are hoaxes, is coming to fruition. You are slowly seeing all the pieces come out. They tried to hide it, but we will get it out and we will keep fighting to make sure that you guys all know how clear this witch hunt is and how we're going to take over back in November. We're going to just crush it.
I can't believe I just thought of this, but you're right you don't have to say it. But with the whole Stormy Daniels, I can speak to dark spirits thing, it is a literal witch hunt. You're exactly right. You don't have to say it. I'll say it. Everyone follow Alina Habba. Clapping back, shooting straight, just amazing. 222,000 people. Can't be wrong, baby. Get in there and let's go win. God bless you, Alina. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
All right. See ya.